There's one thing 2011s get criticized for all the time. We all know it. It's that they're owned by nerds. Okay, maybe that's just your 2011s. Obviously, kidding. Kind of. But that's not really it. It's that they're really expensive. They're like thousands of dollars typically. A mid-tier high-end gun can run upwards of $3,000, and that's still getting a title of like mid-tier, which is insane. And higher-end 2011s sell for over $5,000, which is truly, truly bonkers. This is my Alpha Foxtrot Romulus. You can watch my original video I did with it, watching kind of how it started. It's been kind of dragged through the parts bin at this point, and we're going to be testing it against some of the higher end guns to see how it does in like slow motion, short range, long range, just general kind of how you feel about it next to a high end gun, and see just kind of where it gets, taking a more humble 2011 and bringing it up to kind of the next level. Before we get started, I do want to thank my Patreon supporters. This is a video topic that was conceived by my patron supporters. So once a quarter or so, I'll open up a thread, say, what videos do you guys want to see? The patrons vote on it, and then I make the videos. This is the second video I've done like that, but this video is for the patron supporters, so thank you guys, you're awesome. So let's meet the guns that are in the shootout, starting at the high end. This is the Fowler Industries Vanta 9, made right here in Texas. This sucker's price starts at $5,500, depending on options, because it's a semi-custom gun, so you can kit it out how you want. But the big thing about the Fowler guns is their attention to detail, and their fit and finish is impeccable. This is the nicest 2011 that I own. It's silly, silly nice. Going down from there to about $3,400 is the Masterpiece Arms DS9 IDPA compliant, even though it's wearing a limited optic style magwell. The short dust cover, so it makes weight for IDPA, is why it's called IDPA compliant. These guys start at about $3,400, and the finish is not quite as nice as the Fowler. It's got a nitride finish rather than a DLC finish, and you can see that the cuts on the slide are just a lot more plain. They're a lot kind of bigger as opposed to the super fine detail stuff on the Fowler, but the gun has it where it counts. It's the equivalent of like a muscle car because it is a performance shooting machine, and it does all the same things the Fowler does, but doesn't cost quite as much. If you put this gun in anybody's hands at the gun range, they would say, this is the nicest gun I've ever held in my life, and they're probably telling the truth. Then rounding out the pack is the Alpha Foxtrot Romulus, but not as you probably remember it from earlier on in the channel's history. As you see the gun here, it would be about $2,140. Approximately. Let's kind of walk through what is going on with the Romulus here. First things first, if I put this in your hands and you were to just manipulate it and you were blindfolded, you'd be like, this is a really nice gun. Super slick action on the slide. Feels good, bonkers trigger. The grip both feels amazing from how it fits in your hand, and the traction is this kind of like an aggressive Goldilocks traction where you could potentially carry it, but it bites you when you shoot, and that's exactly what you want. Not blowing smoke, that's a Miller Precision grip, trigger, and mag catch, as well as bushing screws that you see there. And it's honestly awesome. It's one of the better aluminum grips, if not the best. And let's kind of go into why. The mag catch to me is kind of the star of the show. There aren't many mag catches that are shaped kind of that teardrop shape like the Miller one. And it just makes it a lot easier to get onto the mag release. Basically, any other full-size 2011 with just the circular mag catch, I have to kind of break my grip a little bit to get mags to drop free. I don't have to do that at all on the Miller. It's just right there. It's brilliant. And the trigger, shoe, and bow, if you're swapping out triggers, it kind of makes sense to get a trigger that's mated to that grip. So the Miller trigger is honestly one of my favorite trigger profiles as well. The other biggest weakness in an off-the-shelf Romulus is, besides its grip, is going to be its guide rod. The original guide rod is a two-piece guide rod, which is a huge failure point for 2011 pistols. So this gun features a 5-inch EGW guide rod because, you know, that's one better, right? And the theme keeps going with EGW. EGW makes internals for pretty much a lot of the high-end builders that you've heard of. This gun similarly features EGW internals, but just slapping them into the gun usually isn't enough. You kind of have to tweak and adjust them. While I'm fully capable of assembling 2011 pistols, the tuning and refining isn't great, but Chuck at Techstar Gunworks is local to me and is brilliant. So I let Chuck take a look at this, and the results are truly excellent. The trigger on this gun is right at home with anything we're talking about. The irons are co-witness on the gun, so I have left those alone, and that is some heavy foreshadowing. Yes, ominous. This video is an emotional roller coaster, so be prepared. Not really. So opening up, shooting the guns, rapid fire to see how they compare. The gun shoots pretty brilliantly. Rapid fire feels really good. I have a hard time imagining it's going to get improved upon by a more expensive gun, but let's try. Predictably, I don't see a big difference in it. Like, the grip is spikier in a different kind of way. Like, you could definitely like run your arm over this in the holster and it would, you know, potentially scrape your arm to the point of blood. I've done that before with this gun, but there's not a big difference in hand. We'll see on the clock. We'll see in the accuracy. I think this gun actually does shoot a little bit nicer than the other guns. I can't count and only put 4 in there, but I do think it shoots nicer. The shape of the grip is just a little more refined. I got it to track straight up and down just a little bit better. It felt like it had less recoil, and I think that's due to the fact that the fit on this gun is insanely tight. So I think there is something to the slide frame fit and how the gun feels in recoil. There's other stuff at play. The spring that's in the gun, the main spring, the recoil spring, the shape of the firing pin stop, all that stuff contributes. And it just feels like this has been looked at and all that stuff has been taken into account. So there's that. In slow motion video, there really isn't a big difference with how the guns are moving. The Alpha Foxtrot looks incredibly stable at speed compared to the MPA and the Fowler. Things are looking actually pretty good just based on rapid fire and looking at the slow-mo of what you'll be able to get out of the gun. So I set up at the 10-yard line on 3 steel plates, a 14 and 2 10-inch plates. Before we get started on the testing, I do want to show you this ammo bag. This is a collaboration between me and Run and Gun Apparel, but it's super nice. The nice weather's back. You're gonna be shooting matches before you know it, and having an ammo bag is nice. It's got this nice electric blue interior lining, but the reason these are nice is because in your range bag, which is already filled with all your crap, these things get smaller and smaller. Like you can see, there's about 100 rounds in there. This will hold up to about 500 rounds. So check out the link in the description to go to runandgun.us and get your own ammo bag. It's much nicer than loading out of boxes. So check it out. I appreciate it. We're gonna put 2 on each, 3 passes, keeping the best 2. Romulus goes first. Those bullet holes are right on top of each other. That looked great, although the time was pretty slow. 290, just putting a good banker in there. Here we go. Safety on, 273. It's probably about the same, I would imagine. 265, got the Masterpiece. Here we go. 267. 266. 259. So a little bit quicker, but I think that's just from me doing more and more reps with the gun. But let's try Mr. whatever it's called. 257. Oh, that was horrible. 271 and 2 are off. .272. So you can see, because I felt better with the Fowler, I was trying to push it a little bit faster and I was dropping shots, which I didn't on the other guns. So that's about what I'm capable of at this distance. Back at the 25-yard line is where things are going to get more interesting, because that's where the fit of the slide frame and barrel are all going to start to be showcased. Since we're shooting at smaller targets, they're not shooting at, you know, massive cardboard-sized targets, there may be punishment based on that. Here we go, 25 yards, Mr. Romulus. Okay, 3 off, 393. One off, 430. One off, 435. Looks like 430 is the time. So at 25 yards, these aren't exactly big targets. The barrel is going to start to come into play with, I'm using the Buffalo Creek range ammo. Great ammo, but not every barrel likes stuff. The nicer barrels tend to get better performance out of everything. Let's see how it goes with Mr. Masterpiece. .425, so roughly same time, but all 6 on. Got a little sporty there, 398. .404. I don't think I was doing anything differently with the Masterpiece gun, but I was connecting on all the hits in a way I couldn't with the Romulus. The dot is, I mean, roughly the same kind of dot. There's nothing really that different about the gun that would explain why it would be off. And all the, I mean, I could see the bullets impact the berm. They were just over the plate. I don't know if it's the ammo barrel not getting along, which is possible, but I mean, I had 0 drop shots with the Masterpiece. Fowler, I need to redeem it after that terrible run. All right, 1 makeup shot, 455. .415. .402. So right around 4 seconds is possible with the Fowler and the Masterpiece. The bullets are just going exactly where the dot is, where I'm looking. I don't know, man. So interestingly, the Romulus fell flat at the 25-yard line. And so I got out my fancy pistol rest and tried to shoot some groups. I had both the Buffalo Creek 115 FMJs as well as some Hornady American Gunner 115 jacketed hollow points. Buffalo Creek is a supporter of the channel, and I thank them for it. If you want to feel support at BCA, maybe try this. Starting with the FMJs, the Romulus was okay. It did, I mean, pretty good. It's production gun accurate, which is good. But interestingly, the Masterpiece Arms would not group the FMJs, which was surprising considering it didn't miss at rapid fire. So it could very well be me. And going up to the Fowler is just like, I'll take whatever you give me and make small groups out of it. So the Fowler clearly is the most accurate gun on the bench. At the jacketed hollow points, that's where it starts to tighten up even further. The Romulus, while it did improve with the jacketed hollow points, is not quite at the same level as the Masterpiece or the Fowler. But I fully admit, I am not the best group shooter using a bench rest because my vision just honestly isn't the best. I have an astigmatism, so I can't aim precisely. It's just not in the cards. But my buddy Danny can, so Danny came and he shot the guns, and that's when disaster struck with the Romulus. So this is worth talking about. The Romulus lost its front sight and is now bound up in the barrel. So these kind of like price point guns, you have to go over and make sure everything's as it's supposed to be, because that front sight, which looks like it's a Glock style sight, has walked out and now it's seizing up the action. So it's gonna be wonderful to get back into service. But you can see even in Danny's hands, the JHPs from the Foxtrot, which is only 8 rounds because gun broke, wasn't nearly as good as the Masterpiece or the Fowler. So while we were at it, I let Danny shoot the guns and see what he thought, just kind of putting a mag through them, seeing what he thinks.
I like the responsiveness of the trigger.
What do you think of the grip?
Grip is excellent. That wraparound is nice. Return is perfect. I think this thing is so tuned, it's balanced, you don't have to guess where to shoot. No effort.
More or less than the Romulus? Like it more or less?
I like the grip on the Romulus. This tends to be like needles. Maybe I'm riding the slide?
I think you're riding the slide. Yeah, I think it was you.
Yeah, it was me. Because it's such tight tolerance. You can't let anything interfere.
You can't slow the slide down at all.
You cannot slow it down. Grip-wise, probably the least favorite. It's slick. It doesn't have
slick on the sides, but bitey front and back.
Bitey on the front back, but it's very slick on the side. So, yeah.
You like it more or less than the Romulus?
The action of itself, I like it. It's tuned. You could tell it's tuned. It tracks very well. I like the Romulus grip. I like the Miller Precision grip.
And this is where the super secret surprise comes in. So as I was shooting this gun, I was thinking, boy, I've spent over $2,000, about $2,100 plus on this gun. You know, there are other guns that cost about the same. The Bull Armory Tac Pro and the Kimber 2K11. So anticipating that you guys would ask for it in the comments, I brought out the Kimber 2K11 and shot it in the same drills as well. And this 2K11, it is worthy of mentioning. It's got the mid-generational changes that kind of came out, I would say, probably into last year. They've got a revised grip, they've got a shorter trigger shoe, they've got better sculpted safeties, the guide rod changed slightly to have a little bit more traction, and the optic plate changed. That's kind of what's different on the new batch of 2K11s. But in slow motion recoil, you can see that the gun basically moves similarly to that. I mean, a 2011 is 2011 in recoil, and it's largely going to be driven on the springing and the quality of the grip that's on the gun, and they're all similar enough. All right, Kimber 10 yards. .261. 247, best run so far. 255. Consistently faster times the later I get going. I shot the Kimber 4th. I got the best times of the Kimber. There it is. Kimber. .375. It's going last, so of course it gets the fastest time. That was quick. .369. All 6 on, all 3 runs, .356. I mean, half a second faster. It's not so much glazing the Kimber like, hey, this gun does stuff the other ones can't do, but it does start to prove the point that a 2011 is a 2011. Now, I'm the most familiar with the Kimber, so it's no wonder that I'm running it the fastest, but at the same time, you know, what does the extra money really get you? Hornady 115 hollow points with the Kimber 2K11. That's clearly my flyer, that's me on the outside there. But it actually does a pretty good job with the FMJs as well. You're not getting the hole-on-hole stacking like you are with the 2 more costly guns, but I mean, it's keeping a pretty tight pattern. So where do I land on this as far as having a budget that is kind of jumped up to compete with the mid-tier to high-tier 2011 pistols? First and foremost, let's talk about the high-end stuff. The Fowler gun is my favorite gun that I own, period. It is my absolute favorite 2011. It's just truly inspiring. Like, it's precision crafted. It's just fantastic. However, as you saw with the drills, I couldn't do anything with the Fowler that I couldn't do with the other guns.
271 and
I think there is a very sharp point in the diminishing returns curve. It's about kind of that $2,000 price point where the guns are kind of good enough to do whatever it is they need to do. But the super high-end stuff, if you like nice things, great to have. Kind of the middle tier of high-end guns with the Masterpiece Arms. I mean, this is built to spec kind of racer type gun. If you like the specs this is built to, it's, you know, awesome. It's a very well put together gun. I would say the Romulus honestly compares pretty favorably to it, except for in the accuracy department. And, you know, going down in price to the Kimber sort of price point, I would say the guns performed pretty comparably despite, you know, shattering everything with the Kimber. You know, the Kimber was a little bit more accurate. It was just as capable as the high-end guns, but more importantly, like, this gun has like 0 time put into it other than the optic mount that you see. So, and that's kind of where we land, is with the budget guns, kind of elevating them to be comparable to the mid high-end guns, to the, you know, super high-end guns. You're putting 1600 to as much as, you know, just north of 2 into the gun. So is that, you know, a good idea? If you're like a competitive shooter, you just like tweaking on stuff and that makes you happy, then, you know, yeah, absolutely, check it out. It's, you know, a fun project thing to do, but, you know, it takes a bunch of time and additional money to do it. It's effectively buying a high-end mid-tier gun at a payment plan is what it amounts to. At that kind of mid-tier price point where this gun kind of lives at this point, you've got basically Kimbers and Bull Armory guns that are roughly the same cost. For me personally, I would rather get something at that kind of level, the Bull or the Kimber out of the box, not spend all the time on it and have a gun that has, you know, factory support. Because as the front sight showed us on the Romulus, you know, you and your gunsmith, that's why it's good to know somebody like Chuck at Techstar Gunworks. The Franken-build 2011s may have issues. And I will say, as a USPSA competitor, when I see a 2011 go down in limited optics, which is what these guns would be, usually it's the guns that people have wrenched on themselves that have problems. The factory spec guns usually don't have problems unless they don't maintain the guns or they monkeyed with them. Either way, this is a fun project. The Miller Precision stuff on this pistol is completely next level. The bushings and screws on the gun are worth it for any 2011, if you do the grip or not. I'll probably be converting all of my 2011s to their bushing kits because it's just better to work on. So thanks to Miller Precision for helping make this video possible. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. And if you want to see anything more about any of the guns that appear in this video, you can check them out on my channel.